All right, let's dive into a topic that's, well, a little bit taboo, a little bit mysterious, and maybe even a little bit exciting. We're talking sex magic.
Ooh, getting right to it. I like it.
Got to keep things interesting, right? So we've got this document, Introduction to sexmagic.pdf. Kind of lays out the basics.
Sounds like a pretty straightforward title. Gets right to the point.
Yeah, no beating around the bush there.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to do today, too. We're going to unpack this whole sex magic thing, look at what it is, where it comes from, and what it's all about.
Sounds like a plan, but I think it's important to say right off the bat, we're going to approach this with respect. This isn't about, the sensationalized stuff you might see in movies or whatever.
Definitely. We're here to learn, explore, and understand, right? And speaking of understanding, one thing that really jumps out from this document is this idea of reclaiming the sacredness of sexuality. That seems pretty central to the whole concept of sex magic.
Absolutely. The text really emphasizes moving away from all that shame and secrecy that we often associate with sexuality, especially in, Western culture.
Yeah, like it's something to be hidden away or ashamed of.
Exactly. And sex magic is kind of like a rebellion against that. It's about saying, hey, this is a powerful force. It's natural. It's part of who we are, and we can use it for positive transformation.
Okay, so I'm hearing a lot about potential and transformation, but let's back up a bit. What exactly is sex magic? How do they actually define it in this document?
Straightforwardly, actually. They define it as using sexuality to work magic.
Okay, so on the surface, pretty simple, but I'm guessing it goes a lot deeper than that, right?
Oh, absolutely. We're talking about a practice that's got roots in ancient Egypt, in Tantra, in Hinduism and Buddhism, even in Western occultism. There are connections to groups like the Knights Templar and the Freemasons.
Wow, so this is not some new age fad. This is something that's been around for centuries, woven into all these different traditions.
Exactly. And while the specific methods and beliefs might vary, the underlying idea is the same. Harnessing this potent energy that we have within us, the sexual energy, and using it as a force for change, whether that's change in ourselves, in our lives, or even in the world around us.
All right, so we're talking about sexual energy, magic, and transformation. I'm hooked.
Yeah.
Let's break down how this actually works. What are the nuts and bolts of sex magic?
Well, the document lays out 3 key steps. First, you focus your intent. Then you raise energy. And finally, you release that energy.
Okay, so it's almost like a formula, a process.
Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah.
But it's not just going through the motions. Each step requires a lot of, intentionality, awareness. It's not just about the physical act itself.
Right. So focusing intent, what does that actually entail?
It's about getting really clear on what you want to achieve with this ritual. What's your goal? And it has to be specific.
No vague wishes or I'll be happy if kind of stuff.
Nope. Got to be clear and direct. Are you looking for love, for abundance, for healing? What is it that you truly desire? Then you use tools to help you focus on that intent during the ritual. Things like affirmations, visualizations, maybe even symbols like tarot cards or runes.
So it's like you're creating a roadmap, a focal point for your energy.
Exactly. And that focused energy is what drives the whole process. Now, when it comes to raising energy, well, this is where the sex part of sex magic really comes into play.
Okay, let's talk about that. How does that differ from, say, other types of energy work or magical practices?
It's about cultivating prolonged sexual arousal, really tapping into that wellspring of energy that we all have within us.
So it's not just a prelude to something else, it's actually an integral part of the magic itself.
Exactly. The buildup, the sensations, the intensity, it's all part of generating this powerful energy that you can then direct towards your intention.
Okay, so we've focused our intent, we've raised energy. What about that final step? Releasing the energy, what happens there?
That's when the magic really happens. The document points to orgasm as the moment of release and manifestation. They even use this image of a magical child being born.
Whoa, that's a powerful image. So it's not just a physical release, but an energetic one where you're sending your intention out into the universe.
Exactly. It's the culmination of all that focused energy and intention, like a burst of creative power. And it makes me think of that famous Crowley quote, love is law, love under will.
Yeah, powerful stuff. So we're talking about love, will, and attention. It's all starting to come together. But before we get too carried away with all this magical energy, I know the document also talks about the importance of preparation. What do we need to do before we even think about starting a sex magic ritual?
Well, it all starts with a solid foundation. And that foundation is self-acceptance, respect for the body. It's about challenging those societal views that might make us uncomfortable with our own sexuality, embracing a healthy, open approach.
So it's not just about the ritual itself. It's about cultivating a deeper relationship with your body and your sexuality.
Exactly. And that's key to doing this work in a balanced and healthy way. The text even talks about breath work and pelvic floor exercises as ways to enhance arousal, control, and the intensity of orgasms.
So we're not just diving in head first. There's a process of preparation, both mentally and physically, to really set ourselves up for success.
Right. It's about creating a space of awareness, of respect, and of intention. And from that solid foundation, you can start to explore the incredible potential of sex magic.
Okay, so we've covered the basic principles, the preparation,
Yeah.
but now I'm curious about the different ways this can be practiced, because I know there are solo practices, duo practices, even group rituals.
Absolutely. And the document actually recommends starting with solo practice. It might seem counterintuitive, but it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, what do you think that is?
Well, it's about getting to know yourself first. Your body, your responses, your energetic flow. It's like a training ground where you can experiment, learn what works for you, and build that foundation of control and awareness before bringing another person into the mix.
So it's like solo practice is all about mastering the basics, building that solid foundation.
Exactly. And it's a powerful practice in its own right. The document even talks about incorporating visualizations of deities into solo practice, adding a whole other layer of spiritual depth.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. So we're talking about self-discovery, spiritual connection, and of course, harnessing this powerful sexual energy. It seems like solo sex magic is much more than just, well,
A way to pass the time.
exactly. It's a rich and nuanced practice with a lot of potential for growth and transformation.
Absolutely. And it's often the first step on a longer journey into the world of sex magic.
So we've got solo practice as a foundation, but I'm dying to know more about what happens when you bring another person into the equation. Let's talk about duo sex magic next. What are some of the key things to consider when practicing with a partner?
Well, the most important thing is consent, communication, and shared goals. You and your partner will need to be on the same page, understand the practices involved, and be fully comfortable with what's happening.
Makes sense. It's not just about the physical act. It's about building trust, understanding, and a deep connection with your partner.
Right. And the document also talks about how different sexual positions can actually influence the energy flow during a ritual.
Whoa. Okay, now we're getting into the really interesting stuff. So like different positions for different magical intentions.
Exactly. For example, they describe the missionary position as being good for intimacy and connection, while the woman on top position might be more empowering for the woman and help her direct energy towards a specific goal.
So it's almost like a dance where each position creates a different energetic dynamic.
That's a great analogy. It's about working with your bodies and energies in a way that supports your intention. And of course, they also mention more adventurous positions. But no matter what you choose, it's all about approaching it with respect, communication, and safety.
Right, always keeping those things in mind. Now, the document also mentions a more advanced practice within duo sex magic called the Great Rite. What can you tell us about that?
This one gets pretty intense. It involves both partners invoking deities into each other, basically becoming vessels for those divine energies during the sexual act.
Whoa, that sounds pretty heavy.
It is. It's not something to be approached lightly. The source emphasizes that this is a practice for experienced sex magicians who are ready to dive deep into the spiritual depths of this work.
Oh, not for beginners.
Definitely not. It requires a lot of preparation, understanding, and a deep level of trust and connection with your partner.
It sounds like duo sex magic can range from exploring intimacy and connection to tapping into some really powerful spiritual energies.
Exactly. It's a practice that can be tailored to your specific intentions and level of experience. And it can be a path to deeper connection, transformation, and even spiritual awakening.
This is all so fascinating. I'm already feeling like we've just scratched the surface here. We've got solo practice, duo practice, the complexities of the Great Rite, and I know there's even more to explore, like distance sex magic and group rituals.
Absolutely. There's a whole world of possibilities within sex magic. And as we continue this deep dive, we'll delve into those other practices, explore specific techniques, and unpack the ethical considerations that come along with working with such powerful energy.
I can't wait. This is definitely a topic that deserves a deep dive. We've got a lot more to uncover, so stay tuned.
Okay, so we've laid the groundwork, talked about what sex magic is, where it comes from, all that.
Yeah, the history, the philosophy, the big ideas.
Right, right. But now let's get down to brass tacks. Let's talk about how you actually do a sex magic ritual.
Yeah, let's get practical. Walk me through it.
All right. So step one, and this is super important, is you got to set your goal. Like, what do you want to achieve with this ritual?
Okay, so no wishy-washy intentions.
Yeah.
Got to be crystal clear about what you're aiming for.
Exactly. Are you trying to attract love, abundance, healing? What is it you truly desire? Because that desire, that intention, that's the fuel for the whole thing.
Right, so we're not just messing around with energy here.
Yeah.
We've got a specific target in mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And to help you stay focused on that target, the next step is to create something that represents that goal, something tangible.
Interesting. So, like, what kind of thing are we talking about here?
It could be a lot of things. The document mentions crafting affirmations, visualizing the desired outcome, maybe using symbols like tarot cards or runes. It's about giving your intention a physical form, something you can connect with during the ritual.
Okay, I'm starting to get it. It's like setting the stage for the magic to happen.
Yeah, exactly. You're creating an atmosphere, an energetic space that's aligned with your goal. And speaking of space, the next step is preparing your physical environment.
So we're not just doing this anywhere. We need a specific place.
It's ideal to have a dedicated space, somewhere you can feel comfortable, relaxed, and focused. The document talks about cleansing the space, maybe using candles, incense, things that enhance the atmosphere and make it feel, sacred.
It's like creating a sanctuary, a temple for this practice.
Exactly. And that preparation extends to your body as well. Taking a cleansing bath or shower, purifying yourself before the ritual.
Symbolically and literally getting rid of any, energetic gunk.
Precisely. You want to enter the ritual feeling clean, clear, and open. Now, this next step might surprise you.
Okay, hit me.
Relaxation. The document actually recommends taking some time to relax, maybe do some deep breathing or meditation before getting into the, shall we say, more intense parts of the ritual.
That's interesting. I would have thought you'd want to be all amped up, building energy right from the start.
Well, it's not about suppressing energy, but about refining it. Relaxation helps to quiet the mind, ground yourself in your body, and become more present. It's like creating a still surface of water, so when you drop that stone, the ripples are clear and strong.
Okay, that makes sense. It's about being in control, not letting the energy run wild.
Exactly. And speaking of control, the next step is banishment. This is a big one in a lot of magical traditions.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Creating a protective circle, warding off unwanted energies.
Right. And it's especially important in sex magic because you're working with some pretty potent stuff. You want to make sure you're in a safe and protected space, free from any negative or distracting influences.
It's like putting up a magical shield, creating a bubble where only the energies you want are allowed in.
Exactly. All right, so we've set our goal, created a representation of it, prepared our space and ourselves, and put up those protective boundaries. Now we're getting to the heart of the ritual.
Okay, this is what I've been waiting for. Lay it on me.
Well, the document describes two main approaches, one using affirmations or mantras and the other using visualization.
All right, let's break those down, starting with affirmations. How does that work?
So you basically arouse yourself or your partner while repeating your chosen affirmation, either out loud or silently. The key is to build up energy, then back off right before orgasm, and then build it up again.
So it's like a teasing game almost.
Yeah, you could say that. It's about deliberately increasing the intensity, the focus, and the energy while keeping your intention firmly in mind. The document recommends repeating this cycle a few times before finally letting go.
Maintaining that focus all the way through.
Exactly. And when you do finally reach orgasm, that's the moment of release. It's like you're launching your intention into the universe with all that built-up energy.
Powerful stuff. Now, what about the visualization method? How is that different?
This one is more about creating a strong mental image of your desired outcome. You spend some time before the ritual really visualizing your goal in detail, feeling the emotions associated with it, making it as real as possible in your mind.
So it's like creating a mental movie of your desired reality.
Yeah, exactly. And then you kind of set that visualization aside and focus on the physical sensations of the ritual. But right before orgasm, you bring that image back to the forefront of your mind, channeling all that energy into it.
It's like projecting your desire onto a screen with the force of 1,000 suns.
That's one way to put it. Both methods are about using sexual energy to fuel the manifestation of your intention. It's just a matter of finding the approach that works best for you.
Okay, so we've got affirmations, visualizations, building energy, releasing it at the peak moment. That's all starting to make sense. But I know the document also gets into some pretty specific details about orgasm, especially for men. Like this whole thing about multiple orgasms without ejaculation?
Yeah, they talk about using a build-up and back-off technique to prolong the experience, intensify the energy flow, and potentially make the ritual more potent. It's about control and mastery.
Sounds intense. And what about for women? Any specific advice there?
The document emphasizes the importance of clitoral stimulation for reaching orgasm, making sure there's a full release of energy. It's about finding what works for each individual to achieve that powerful release.
So it's really about personal exploration, understanding your body, and finding the techniques that work best for you.
Exactly, and always prioritizing safety and respect, of course. And speaking of safety, they also talk about the mingling of sexual fluids, but they're very clear that this should only be done in the context of a safe and trusting relationship, free from any STIs.
Right. Got to keep it real.
Yeah,
We're exploring these esoteric practices, but we also need to be responsible and protect ourselves.
absolutely. And they even get into how you can use those charged fluids to, like, empower talismans or even consume them as a sacred elixir. But again, only if it's safe.
Okay, so we're talking next level stuff here. Definitely important to approach this with caution and understanding.
For sure. Now, once the ritual is complete, the document recommends taking a few moments to just like lie there with your partner, let the energy settle, reconnect.
Yeah, kind of like an integration period after all that intensity.
Right. And then they emphasize banishment again, just like you did at the beginning. Closing the circle, returning to a state of balance.
So we're not just leaving those energetic doors wide open.
Nope. Gotta close them up tight. Now, they also acknowledge that sometimes you might not have time for a full-blown ceremony. Like life gets in the way, right? So they talk about what they call spontaneous rituals.
Ooh, interesting. So like sex magic on the fly.
Yeah, it's about adapting the principles to everyday life. You might visualize that protective circle, dedicate your energy to a specific intention, maybe even use mantras during the experience. It's about being present, intentional, and making the most of those moments.
So it's not always about elaborate rituals. You can weave a little bit of magic into your everyday life.
Exactly. And speaking of weaving magic into everyday life, the document also talks about the menstrual cycle and its influence on a woman's magical power.
Ooh, tell me more about that. I've heard about this in other traditions too.
Well, they say the days before menstruation can be a time of heightened energy and power. They even suggest that menstrual blood itself can enhance the power of a ritual, but only if the woman is healthy.
So it's about embracing the natural rhythms of the body, not seeing it as something to be ashamed of or hidden away.
Exactly. They also talk about ovulation as a woman's personal full moon, a time of really potent energy.
Wow, so many layers to this. It's like the whole universe is conspiring with us to create magic.
I love that way of looking at it. So we've covered a lot in this part. We talked about the steps of a ritual, the different approaches you can take, spontaneous rituals, even the menstrual cycle and its connection to magical power. What do you think are the most important things for people to understand about actually doing sex magic?
I think it's about finding what works for you. There's a structure, there are techniques, but it's also about experimentation, exploration, and personalizing the practice.
Yeah, I agree. And it's about approaching it with respect, with intention, and with a willingness to learn and grow along the way. And of course, never forgetting about safety and consent, especially when working with a partner.
Absolutely. All right, so we've laid out the framework, the key considerations. Now I'm ready to dive deeper into the different ways sex magic can be practiced.
Yeah.
Let's start with the solo path. So we've talked about how solo sex magic is a great place to start. It's like getting to know yourself on a whole new level before bringing anyone else into the picture. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's a really valuable approach. Solo practice lets you explore your own body, your responses, your own energy without having to worry about another person's energy, too. It's a space for self-discovery and experimentation.
Yeah, like a personal laboratory for magical exploration. And the source even suggests incorporating visualizations of deities into solo practice. What's the significance of that?
Bringing deities into solo sex magic, it adds this like spiritual depth. You're connecting with these archetypal energies and invoking specific qualities. Like, let's say you're looking for more intuition. You might visualize a goddess associated with wisdom or, clairvoyance.
So it's not just about the physical sensations. You're tapping into a deeper spiritual dimension by working with these archetypes.
Exactly. You're aligning yourself with these powerful forces. Now, moving on to duo sex magic, the source talks about how different sexual positions can actually influence the energy flow during a ritual.
Okay, yeah. Let's talk positions. This is where things get really interesting. What are some of the key insights they offer?
Well, they described the missionary position as being conducive to intimacy and connection, a deep merging of energies. On the other hand, the woman on top position, that's seen as more empowering for the woman, giving her more control over the energy.
So the choice of position isn't just about preference, it's a strategic decision based on the energetic dynamics of the ritual.
Exactly. And they even get into like more adventurous positions, emphasizing that each one creates a different energetic flow.
It's like each position is a different dance move, contributing to the overall choreography of the ritual.
That's a great way to put it. And again, they stress safety, communication, and respect throughout, no matter what positions you choose.
Of course, those are always paramount. Now, the source also mentions this technique called mutual oral sex magic. It involves visualizing energy flowing between partners.
Yeah, that one's about creating a circuit of energy, amplifying it through pleasure and intention. The visualization is key, creating that dynamic exchange that enhances the magic.
So you're using pleasure itself as a conduit for magical energy, creating a powerful synergy between partners.
Exactly. And they even talk about the possibility of invoking a god or goddess into one partner during these practices, adding another layer of connection.
Wow, taking things to a whole new level. And then we have the Great Rite, which we touched on before. Can you remind us why this is considered such an advanced practice?
The Great Rite involves both partners invoking deities into each other, becoming vessels for those energies. It's a merging of human and divine, a practice that requires experience, preparation, and spiritual maturity.
It's like stepping into this realm of sacred mysteries, working with powerful forces. It sounds incredible, but also potentially overwhelming.
Definitely not for beginners. It requires a deep understanding of the energies involved and the potential risks and rewards.
Okay, so we've talked about solo, duo, even the complexities of the Great Rite. But what about when you and your partner aren't physically together? Is sex magic even possible long distance?
It might surprise you, but the source actually talks about this. They call it distance sex magic. It involves coordinating with your partner, setting a time and intention, and then using visualization and focus to connect energetically during solo masturbation.
So you're creating an energetic link even across physical distance to work towards a shared goal.
That's the idea. It speaks to the power of the mind and the connections that we have even when we're apart. It might not be the same as being physically together, but it can still be a powerful way to connect and work together magically.
It's like sending your desires across space and time. Amazing. And finally, let's talk about group sex magic, which the source presents as the most advanced form. What makes it so unique?
Group sex magic is all about harnessing the collective energy of multiple people. It creates this synergy, amplifying the power of the ritual. It's like everyone's individual intention contributes to this greater whole.
It sounds incredibly potent, but also potentially chaotic if not approached carefully.
Exactly. The source emphasizes that this isn't just about having an orgy. It's a sacred practice that requires a lot of trust and respect among all the participants.
So it's about creating this container of sacred energy where everyone is aligned in their intention. And they even talk about a ritual for healing Mother Earth, which suggests this practice can extend beyond personal goals.
Absolutely. It highlights our interconnectedness and the potential for collective action to make a difference in the world.
Wow, we've covered so much in this deep dive into sex magic. The history, the philosophy, the techniques, the ethical considerations. It's a complex practice with a lot of potential for growth and transformation.
It's a path of reclaiming our power, exploring our depths, and using this potent energy for creation. But it's also a path that demands respect and responsibility.
It's about approaching it with an open mind and a discerning heart. And remember, with any powerful tool, it's important to use it wisely and ethically, always prioritizing safety and consent.
This deep dive has really just scratched the surface. Keep researching, keep questioning, and keep exploring the mysteries of sex magic.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into sex magic. We hope you've gained some insights and maybe even a little inspiration. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep the magic alive.